Today's message is from Dr. Christian Sorensen, and it was recorded June 16th, 2019. And it's titled, Reveling in the Infinite, Affirming God's Life is My Life Now. And today we welcome back the awesome talent of singer-songwriter Jamie Lula, who can be found on his website or on his Facebook page. And of course, you can always visit us on our website at seasidecenter.org. And you can join us in Encinitas, California on a Sunday sometime, where we always have great music, a spirited message, and of course, a joyful, loving, vibrant community that await you.
Good morning, Seaside. What is my honor to introduce our guest artists. We love when he's here, comes down all the way from Los Angeles to be here with us, and especially today on Father's Day, him being a daddy. He's going to share some of his beautiful music with us, and we're just so grateful. He also just released a brand new album, and it's this beautiful orange covered one. And he's matching it so that we can remember, you know. So make sure to please see him after the service, because I know you're going to be moved by his music. So let's give him a warm Seaside welcome. Jamie Lula.
Good morning, y'all. The album is affectionately entitled The Orange Album. Love is my choice. Love is my decision. 2, 3, 4. I wish you peace. I wish you joy. I wish you love, love, love. Love, 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 I wish you faith in yourself to reveal all that you've come here to be. Love is my choice. Love is my decision. Love is my voice. Love is my religion. Love is my religion. I wish you strength. I wish you courage. Wish you love, love. Love, 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 love. I wish you purpose to create all your dreams and co-conspire with the light of your life. Love is my choice. Love is my decision. Love is my voice. Love is my religion. Love is my religion. Oh, 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 your answers to eternity are always deep inside you. That freedom of expression is yours to choose right now. Love is my choice. Love is my decision. Love is my voice. Love is my religion. Love is my decision. Oh, oh, oh. morning singing, love is my religion. Love is, love is, love is. One more time. Love is.
Hey, that's my brother, Jamie Lula. Love is my religion, is my choice, it is my voice, it is my God. You know, nice job, Jamie. Oh, that is great. It's fun, Jamie. We share sons about the same age, and he was sharing how his got home about 7 o'clock this morning, right? And was out driving his car. So it's pretty crazy. One of the things I asked Jamie was, what is it like to watch your son drive away for the first time in a car on his own? And you should see his eyes get about this big. So, but a wonderful film producer, editor, and that's what he's working on until 7 in the morning. So how exciting to have that creativity pass on the lineage from the guy who does the Orange album to his son. So anyway, how fun. That's what happens when you bask in love. This morning's message is reveling in the infinite. I love that word, just reveling. So you can be a revealer of what you're reveling in, and that is the infinite, that is the love, that is the expression that I want us to be able to bring forth. And on this Father's Day, I was blessed. I got a good dad. I got one of those good ones in my world. I got just absolutely nothing but good things to say and wonderful memories, and he's not in this world anymore, which is why if your dad's still in this world, don't miss out on the opportunity to find something nice and let him know that you thought of that. And for me, there's this Native American saying that says that when someone is gone, but lives in the heart of those that are left behind, they're never truly gone, right? They're just not gone. Those that live in the hearts of those that have been left behind, if that's still there, it's still going. So what I did this morning, as I've shared with you what I do sometimes, is I have a closet door right next to my desk, and I open it up, and I have my altar there and my family stuff, and I had a picture of Dad, and I just said, Dad, and connect him. Because what love does is it transcends time and space. Love is that connecting factor. You got to leave most of that physical stuff behind here, but it's the love that brought you together here. It is the love that will bring you together hereafter. It is the love that will unite you together. That's how you're able to travel with your tribe, your clan, your family. And so just to remember that, hey, Dad's as closer than a phone call now. It's as close as opening up my heart, taking a look at that picture and saying, Dad, I love you. And having some of those memories come to the mind of how he, he was tricky with the way he taught me how to read. It was with the sports page. Like every morning we would fight over the sports page. It's like, Dad, I try to get up before my dad, but he'd get up. But I learned to read. He'd be so excited that the Lakers got Anthony Davis yesterday. So, most of you may not know what I'm talking about, but Edwin, you do. Yeah, that's right. We got a chance next year. But, my dad left that legacy inside of me of loving the sports, having that conversation, taught me about gardening, but he was smart. He knew that all little boys love the three things that gardening have: dirt, digging, and hoses, water hoses. It's just a big mess and a lot of fun. And he taught me how to surf and the beach and the love, and to just take the time and to remember that and to be in the place that that was my dad. He was a wonderful expression of life. And if I could only be half the dad my dad was, I'd feel like I was a success in my fatherhood, because I don't necessarily have the skills. When it comes to the authoritarian aspect of our house, I'm pretty inept, right, Cal? Yeah, that's it. When it comes to negotiating, Trevor's a master because he pulls the special needs card. I don't know what you're saying, Dad. I say, first, do you want this or do you want that? He goes, no, this, then that. No, Trevor, you want this or that? first this, then that. It's like, oh man, it's like, it's hopeless when it just comes to that. And a short order cook, man, I'm always picking the wrong thing off the menu for you. Am I going to make this? No, I want this one. Dad, French fries? No, I want tater tots. Oh, come on, give me a break. But, what I did learn from my dad was, you talk about reveling and being in it. My dad was always there. So what I learned about it is I just want to be there, and I may not be as strong in the skill set as some, but showing up is valuable. I figure, the women, they have the babies, and there's not much we can do to help with that process going on, right? But after that, being present to help do things is important. Even, when it comes to messes, I just don't see them. I'm inept, but I am available in case Callie says, didn't you see that tornado that hit that room? And I am in service to our household to be as present with my son, to be at his little recitals and games and things. And when I choose to revel in love, it is my joy. It's not an obligation. When I revel in the infinite, I become that place where the divine downloads in that which is near and dear to my heart, which is being a dad for my kid. And so on this Father's Day, if we can just remember the good aspects of dads and fathers in our world and realize that they touched us. No, some with positive lessons, maybe some with not so positive lessons. But, we got the great stars in our world that, a lot of times we look up to. But I ask you, can you list or give me 2 of the gold medal winners from the last Olympics in 2016? But I bet you could tell me, 2 teachers you had that really made a positive influence in your life. They were coming from the caring, the love, the reveling in their ability to serve the next generation, the emerging gifts of our planet. How about, can you tell me, give me 4 of those who won the Pulitzer Prize last year? Yeah. But I bet you could tell me, an author or a poet or a musician that sang or played something that touched your soul. Can you tell me, other than Vince Lombardi, an NFL coach that's in the Hall of Fame? But you probably could tell me one of your coaches that taught you values and persistence and just some real things in your life. Can you tell me someone who won the Congressional Medal of Honor this last year? I'll bet you can tell me someone who would stand next to you when things got tough in your life. And so we sometimes look at these great individuals who have this mass appeal, but when it comes down to the unsung expression of friendship and family and love, it's that personal touch that makes the difference. And those individuals who take the time to revel in the Spirit, and the kids, when they come into this world, they're on fire with that Spirit. They don't call it God, but they love life. They love what's going on. They're connected to something more. What comes out of them is, they have TV shows, the strangest things kids said, It's like they make a difference. Linda shares the story. She was out gardening in her yard when her little next 5-year-old neighbor came over the fence to sit down with her to, help her as much as to question her. And the 5-year-old found new freedom because mom had a baby a few weeks earlier, so she had a little bit more freedom to explore. And she sat down and said, why are you doing this? What's this over here? When did you start? Those kind of questions. And everyone finally, what's this sparkling on the fence? Which Linda said, I don't really know, but my dad put it there for some reason. And this little 5-year-old looked around and said, where's your daddy? And she said, well, my daddy died a few years ago, which is how I came to live here in his house. And, she's trying to figure out what that means. And she said, well, did you get a new daddy? Yeah. And rather than explaining anything, she kept herself, said no. And it was just so perplexing for this 5-year-old not to be able to, the concept of not having a daddy. She finally said, you could share my daddy. He's a really good one. He wouldn't mind, Yeah. But that's what happens when, one is connected in that place with that Spirit and there's something that is moving on. But what has happened sometimes is that we have forgotten our connection. And When we choose to take time to meditate, to pray, to contemplate, to vision, to bask in that something that is greater than what our mind knows, we begin to explore realms and have thoughts and depths of being that are sometimes beyond what is our controlled thinking, is beyond what it is I'm comfortable with, because I'm experiencing something that's part of the infinite. I'm reveling, I'm spending time in that infinite space, and all of a sudden I say, hey, I want to come back to what it is I know. It's kind of a natural human emotion. We go on these great adventures, you go out on these pilgrimages out there, and you get out a ways, and all of a sudden, you know what, I'm getting a little uncomfortable here. And you start thinking, maybe I need to head back, which is why it's important to burn the boats, after you left, so you can't get back. But it's a natural human tendency as we begin to go off into a new direction, a new place, a new career, a new job, a new relationship, to have our mind wander back and say, maybe I should go back to what it is I know. It's a little bit more comfortable there. I mean, it's biblical in proportion. Exodus, the Jews had left Egypt. They're on their own. They're hanging out in the desert, and they're starting to think, man, I don't like the desert so much anymore. And they don't have much choice. And some actually go to Moses and say, I think we should go back to Egypt. I know we were slaves there, but at least we were fed. It's natural for us to want to slip back. But it's important for us to recognize that when I choose to revel and bask and marinate, if you would, in that wonderful presence of God, we begin to expand and to stretch into new ways. And all of a sudden we're challenged by, want to go back? Take a look at this. You talk to an addict. My goodness, it's they had the rough times, and they hit bottom, and they finally picked themselves up, going, and things seem to go along good. And they're just on the corner waiting for the light to turn green. They're at the crosswalk when all of a sudden they see that person sitting behind the window in the corner bar, and they realize that all the joy is just on the other side of that window. And we got this sense, I think I need to go there. Or sad lovers, they were used to the infatuation and the joy and the passion and all that, and you get into the regular routine of living together and trying to make things work and all those things, and some of that initial heat is subsided, and the head begins, well, I got this question: am I willing to go deeper here, to be more honest, to have more integrity, to experience things in a new, deeper kind of way? Or do I want to go, I'm getting called back, I got these fantasies. We are left with this, and what is essential is that we return to when those questions rise, whether it's addiction, whether it's relationship, whether it is career, that I want to go back and just sit and bask in that presence of God, that infinite presence where it all is, where that infinite is, and feel it and sense it and know that is the truth of who I am. I want to go into that infinite, where the greater possibilities of what my mind knows or where it is I find myself standing is, and listen to the calling of something greater, and maybe take a look at some mentors who may be having their life look in a way that is a direction I might want to be going. But what I want to do is spend time with God. Ernest Holmes talks about being one with Spirit, healing any sense of separation. One of the things we do in the classes, first class, at least, most practitioners in sessions, want to be a masterful manifester. What one has to do, I believe, the first thing, first class always, is remember what it is like to experience that presence. To experience, and recognize that if God is infinite, and I'm basking in this, or I'm reveling in this, and I'm feeling this, then that means it is everything. That means I'm of that. My mind is the mind of God. My heart is the heart of God. My spirit is the spirit of God. My soul is the soul of God. This body is the body of God. If God is infinite, then I've got to come and know the truth of my being. I got to revel in that and recognize that it is infinite. It is infinite. It can't be infinite and me, right? It doesn't work like that. If it is infinite, that it is, I am that, which is seeking to express itself in this moment. And we come to experience that, which is the key. So often we want to understand that. Got that difference? We're not talking about, I need to believe in love. What you want to do is experience love. I don't want to think about love. There's a big difference thinking about love and experiencing, being love expressed. And when you're coming from that place, and as you look out into your life, you begin to see things that may not match that vibration, or that frequency of love, or that revelation. And then you get to decide, because we're talking love is a choice, Jamie was saying. You get to decide, well, if I change the way I'm looking at things, then the things I'm looking at will change. Got that one? That one's a good one to write down. I probably stole it somewhere. I mean, not like consciously. It kind of floats around in there a little bit. But it's like I've got to move beyond the statistical aspects of what love is or what I think it should be. There was this wife of a statistician who wanted to go back to work, raising the kids. And she said to her partner, you know what? You need to watch the kids for the day because I'm going to go look for work. And so the partner, trying to be there and went off, looked for work. When she returned, she received a list, as a statistician would do, wiped tears from the eyes 6 times, cleaned up sniffly noses 9 times, bought, 16 balloons, actual life of a balloon, 10 seconds, cautioned and said, don't cross the street 21 times. Actual times they crossed the street 21 times, how many times I will do this again? 0, we can't approach love in the statistical kind of way. What is imperative is that we begin to allow ourselves to be moved by that presence and realize, things are going to come up in my life that are beyond what I thought would come up. I sure wouldn't have planned my lessons and my soul curriculum this way, but you know what? Things are going to come up. And if I have spent my time reveling in the infinite, reveling in that place of love, allowing myself to be that, then when things come up that are outside my thinking peripheral, I'm going to come from what it is I know. I'm going to come from a place of love as opposed to a place of fear or a place of condemnation or as a place of what the headlines are feeding me. I'm going to come from a higher vibration and I'm going to be there in it. Michelle shares the story of going to her mom when she was 17 to share the news that she was pregnant and that she was afraid to tell her dad. And and she knew she was going to have to talk to her dad, but she just couldn't face telling her dad. And it's not that she was afraid of her dad. It's just she didn't want to break his heart. She had always been daddy's little girl. She had always been his pride and joy. Everything she did, she wanted him to be proud of. And she has found herself in this situation, and there's no way that she could face her dad. And mom says, but you're going to have to. I'll tell you what, I'll go home and we'll find a place for you to stay. You understand why you can't, go home? He says, yeah, because I'm going to hurt my dad. I don't know what to do. He said, okay, you stay with the minister. I'll go talk to dad. We'll come back and get you. And she stayed with Brother Lou, the minister. And, they went on to talk about actually what that meant, the responsibility and all those kind of things. And, when they were talking, they saw the car lights come back up in front of the house, at which point Michelle went and locked herself in the bathroom. Not coming out. Left the living room, in the bathroom, and Luther, Brother Luther, said, Missy, come on. You can't stay there forever. Your dad's not going home without you. You've got to come on out. And so she came on out. She said, you're going to be with me, right? And she kind of hid behind him and waited. They were still sitting in the car, She could only imagine what they were still talking about in the car as she was waiting endlessly for her dad to come up. And up came her mom, and her dad could hear him walking up on the steps, a little light knock on the wood door. He opened the door, and in steps her mom. Eyes are all swollen and red from crying, hugs Brother Lou and steps aside, and there was her dad. And it's not like she was afraid of him. And he walked right by Luther and went up to her and just put his arms around her and hugged her in a big, loving kind of way and whispered in her ear, I love you. I love you. And I will love your baby. And it was in that moment that she knew she was still daddy's little girl. And that with that strength of family, that they could face anything that life would bring them. Okay? One can't really prepare for a time like that. But if you're reveling in the Spirit, if you're being there in the presence, first thing you do is bring forth Spirit. Not because you're trying, but it's like, it's never too soon to forgive yourself, another person. Doing this thing called being human is what we do. And this human expression is what happens when we're doing this thing called life. And as we revel in the infinite, we recognize that sometimes some of those human conditions, we may not know what to do, but we're willing to tap into a higher order, a higher consciousness. The practitioners, when you go to a practitioner, they work on bringing, they call it the Christ consciousness, that sense of oneness with the Spirit that heals the body or situations in life. When you don't really know the way through, but when love is there. And one of the things that some of us have been blessed with are parents who exhibit love in their life, to be able to express that Spirit in a kinder way. The thing with love is it allows us to be present for it. When you choose to be loving, you become the lover. It's not there's a love outside. You become love itself. Once you pass through the doorway is behind you. You are in that space that you were looking at. That seer becomes that which they see when it begins integrated into them. The hearer becomes that which they hear because it becomes part of them. When we choose to revel and spend time contemplating, meditating, praying, basking, marinating, visioning, with Spirit, then that is what comes forth from us when we find ourselves in those challenging kind of situations. And, the love of a parent at the high vibration wants that for their kids. When I was growing up, there was this comedian by the name of Phyllis Diller. And people giggle, just think about her. But anyway, one of the things she was sharing with the talk host is that she always wanted for her children all those things she couldn't afford. And then she wanted to move in with them. So, that Spirit is present. And we get to be one with that Spirit, with that life force. And that's the truth of who you are. That's the truth of your spirit. Bud Tendy was his name, sharing the story of his son, David, who at the age of 6 came into him one day. He was standing there, this little 6-year-old with his little 3-year-old brother in tow following behind him, looking very serious. And said, "Hey, Davey, what's going on? Is there something you want to share?" He said, "Yeah, Daddy. I've been thinking." Just see the eyes. "Daddy, I don't want you to call me Davey anymore. I want you to call me Dave. Would that be okay?" He said, "Yeah, David, that'd be good. Is there anything else?" He said, "Yeah." And he said, I don't want to call you Daddy anymore. I want to call you Dad." And he thought, "Yeah, I think Dad's okay. I like Dad. I don't want Father, but Dad's okay." And, "Are you okay with that?" He said, "Yeah, I'm good with that." And so, "Good job, Dave." And he said, "Thanks, Dad." And he said for the next several weeks, always, before he ever said anything, it was always, "Dad, like, what's for dinner? Dad, I'm home," always. And then, but when he left, the little 3-year-old grabbed his dad's leg and said, "But I still want to call you Daddy," And he said, "That's really good, son," And, he said it was only a short matter of time before the little one wouldn't say Daddy either. But it's when you're willing to be present with love that you really don't know how it unfolds because the kids are always watching. And, but the story goes on that Bud Tendy shares is that just a few years back, his son, David, died. And, the night before he died, he'd called and they had a conversation together because 6 weeks prior to that call, David had, cancer removed. And he called his dad that night, and they had the lymph nodes checked. Everything seemed to be good. He called his dad that night because he said his sight was kind of blurry. It was going kind of tingly or numb in his hands. His speech was a little slurry. And Dad said, just you just went back to work too soon. You need to lay off work a little bit, not take it so hard, start slowly. And they both laughed because they knew David would never take work slowly. And when they were done, his dad finally said, well, Davy, I love you. And his son laughed, well, Daddy, I love you too. And he said, good night, Daddy. Good night, Davy. And he hung up the phone, not realizing that would be the last conversation the two of them would have, because that next day, around noon, he had an aneurysm explode in his brain and was taken to the hospital in the ambulance with his wife, and he died at 7:06 that night. But he said that just having that conversation had assisted him at that point in his life. See, when somebody dies, we leave a piece of our heart there with them in the grave. But I've heard it said that sometimes that's the only thing that they can take with them. And that's okay to be able to do that, because that's who you are. It transcends time and space. And sometimes we just get caught up that these 5-dimensional realm is who we are. But Edgar Tolle said that the ultimate truth of who you are is not I am this or I am that, but rather that I am. And it is in that great I am that we're able to be comfortable and good with who we are. And, we've been blessed, some of us with good dads and some of us who've been powerful lesson providers for us. But I think it's valuable this time of the year to just pause and remember some of the gifts that you may have received and recognize that as what is able to connect you. I said that I kind of look like my dad. I prefer to say he looks like me. But, I'll look into the mirror and it's okay to look like my dad, other than the balding on the top. But, but he was a good man. And I'm just thankful for him, for always being there, for getting up early and always making the fried eggs for me before I went off to school. For teaching me to love the beach and the sunsets and the surfing and the love of the mountains and the hikings and the trees and the trails. And I think about my dad and how he would pray for me and cheer me on. I'm just grateful. He never missed a Little League game and doesn't know how much that really meant to me, how cool I wanted to be. But to know that he was in the stands watching me, play basketball meant a lot, that we would be out on the lawn every night after dinner. And it was a 5:00 dinner. We were the only ones in the neighborhood who ate at 5:00. It was a joke. The Sorensens were eating at 5, but Midwestern Dad had us eating at 5, and the family always showed up. And the family experience at the meal is the love that was exchanged of what everybody did through the days. The meals were loud and they were long and they were fun, and we would never miss it. And there was always a chair for a guest who would stop by. It was special. Thank you, Dad, for that, and thank you, Dad, for loving Mom in front of me and smooching her and holding hands. So I see that's what real men do in public. And, and Dad for the weddings we had done, or the time I came back from Hawaii all alone with nowhere to go after years of being over there, to be at the airport to greet me and take me home and get me situated and moving again. And to a dad that was just so good. If I could just be half that for my son and have that legacy of love passed along, I know our planet is in good hands. And so, Dad, on this Father's Day, my heart is full in the memory and the good for fighting in the war for our country, and the things that you did, playing ball every night with me. It was just, and that love I trust I pass on to my child. And Callie put out a video. You may have seen it because it's been out before, but she sent it to me this morning. Jamie did the song for it, so I thought it would be an appropriate video. And if that legacy of me looking in the mirror and seeing my dad, if I can be the bridge of that love and that influence of being present and caring for my son can make a difference, well.
As we step out of where we come from,
that's my boy.
Tall and who we've become. Being seen for all that we are is just one part of our love. I see you and you see me. We welcome each other to our destiny. all that we're here to express, nothing less. We're here to share our brilliance. I am your safe place to land. You are my safe space to land. We've made a great place to dance. I am your safe place to land. You are my safe space to land. We've made a great place to dance. Safe place to land. I'll be your safe place to land. So we're walking through our new garden that we came here to cultivate, out of seeds that we planted long ago, through the winds of change and fate. I see you and you see me. We welcome each other to our destiny. All that we're here to express, nothing less. We're here to share our brilliance. Yeah, I am your safe place to land. You are my safe space to land. We've made a great place to dance. I am your safe place to land. You are my safe space to land. We've made a great place to dance. Safe place to land.
Man. That's my boy, and may my dad's love live through me as strongly, and may he feel it and carry it into our future. God bless us on this Father's Day as we remember that love influence. And my wife, Callie. Thank you for that video. Hey, let's welcome to the stage Mr. Jamie Lula.
Let's give it up for Christian one more time.
Thanks for that song, Jamie.
You're welcome. So, William wrote and is directing this film that he was working on. And this morning he said he worked until 5, but I saw from Life 360, the app that I keep track of him on, that he didn't get back to the place he was staying at until 7 this morning. He said he slept for an hour and then he had to drive to Agape to take photographs of Marianne Williamson because she's speaking, and he's been taking photographs at Agape for 6 months now, so it flies by. And Marianne Williamson was the first person I sang for after he was born, so she kind of heard the story of his birth. And this is a song that I wrote for him on a journey, a road trip that we took across the country. And I wrote it in Scottsdale, Arizona. It's called Right Here, Right Now. And this is the first time I've done it with a band, so 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. Do that again. Come on, Bob. Take my hand, son, I'm on your journey for a little while. We can chase sunrise and sunset, the moments in between them will shine. There's mountains reaching for heaven, rolling hills that gently rise, oceans and rivers and deserts and roads that rumble in perfect time. I can be here just as I am, right here, right now, giving more than I take,
leaving love as my wake, right here, right now. Leave the place a little bit better, oh, right here, right now. Right here, right now. Take a walk with me, son. There's a path well worn. You don't have to choose. A familiar road might lighten your load. Either way you can't lose. Red roses, violets and daisies, lilies of the field, toil not. City, suburb, or country, find what you want. Be happy with what you've got. Oh, I can be here just as I am, right here, right now. Giving more than I take, leaving love as my wake, right here, right now. Leave the place a little bit better, oh, right here, right now. Right here, right now. You made me up, you made me down, it doesn't matter. It's what you do with where you are that makes things better. I can be here just as I am, right here, right now. Giving more than I take, leaving love as my wake, right here, right now. Leave the place a little bit better. Right here, right now. You can be here just as you are, right here, right now. Giving more than you take, leaving love as your wake, right here, right now. Leave the place a little bit better, right here, right now. Right here, right now. Right here, right now. Right here, right, oh boy, now.
That is Jamie Lula. Woo. Nice, nice, nice. This morning you just got a couple of guys oozing love for their boys is what's going on here.